instead of surfing manually, you just type in what you want Comet to do, and it'll just do that. It'll start moving your mouse. It'll start typing things in. It'll do whatever you need it to do.
We're going to all become so lazy. We're going to say like, oh, you want me to click 3 times or visit 3 pages? Emil and Cassy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Aydin.
Hey, thanks for having us.
So for all the listeners, we have this secretive AI chat group. I'm not even sure if I was allowed to say that, but let's just say that Emil, Cassy, and I know each other from another chat group where we can't talk more about it. But what we do in this chat group is we talk all about AI. So Emil and Cassy know the topic very well. And so today's episode is going to be a treat. But before we begin, let's talk a little bit about what's kind of your professional background and what kind of stuff are you all doing in AI these days?
Emil and I, we're brothers, so we were always building stuff, and I think we always had this desire to like build our own business and build something cool. And we had this idea to actually sell snacks to offices because we thought it was like this really unsexy problem that nobody wanted to do. And so we built this company called Hoppier, and that company today has about 1,200 customers. It's profitable, it's growing, and Emil and I still run that business.
And I'm Emil. I'm the younger brother. So Cassy was like my idea guy. And then we landed on Hoppier, and it's been a fun journey.
Yeah, the AI Illuminati group, that's been fun. Like we basically, like Aydin, we've known each other for a long time now. And I think Emil and I have always been interested in new technology like you. And like we just thought, hey, there's so much stuff going on in the world now, right? It's like, how do we share the insights that we're all learning about? Like, the best tweet you've seen today, and yeah, it's been really cool. It's been helpful. I recommend it to anyone. Like, start an AI group and share what you think is interesting.
Again, I agree. Like it's a good hack to do in the sense that, and the protocol for anyone who wants to kind of emulate this, or maybe if you want to join ours, maybe we'll even expand ours. Who knows? But the idea is like we all come in with what I call alpha. So everybody's coming in and sharing like really strong use cases, strong learnings. And so, and that's what we're going to do today, by the way. So today we're going to show you a lot of these cool things. So I've known Emil and Cassy for a long time. Entrepreneur, is very entrepreneurial, always trying new things in tech. And so today we're going to explore a bunch of different topics. And I'll kind of put this story out is that you all have started becoming interested in actually building products with AI. And maybe that'll be the preamble to the first demo that we're going to see here today. So Cassy, I think you're going to be the one showing us, right?
Yeah, we promise to share only alpha here, pure alpha episode. We're gonna share some good secrets of some of the things that we do behind the scenes, so that even if you didn't want to pay for some of the things that we're building, you could do it on your own for free, or close to for free at a fraction of the cost. So yeah, I can jump into it. I can share kind of one of the things that I think is really valuable that a lot of people don't take advantage of. So we're creating content right now. It's like everybody knows that with AI now, it's easier to build stuff. And so, like, one area that Emil and I have focused on a lot with Hoppier and other stuff we work on is like, how do we just generate more content to be valuable and get attention and awareness of the things that we're doing? And one of those things in particular that I think is really useful is Claude and other models are just extremely good at taking content like a podcast or an interview, a video interview, and taking all of that entire transcript and turning it into content that you can use.
Exactly. I think it's a problem that a lot of people have. So if you're an executive, a manager, or you just want to increase your, brand awareness on LinkedIn or other social platforms, and if you're doing podcasts, you're writing emails, you're in part of interesting meetings, the idea is like, how can you take the things that you're already doing and then create them as content or reimagine them as content that you can post on these social platforms to make it easy?
Yeah, 100%. Exactly. It's like it's hard to know what kind of content to create. I find like people really struggle with that. And that's what we're building with Postbeam. We came up with this, this other business to do exactly that. It's just like, how do I create more content consistently in my own voice using AI? It doesn't have to be more AI slop. There's so much AI slop out there. It's just like, how do I do it in my own voice and know what is going to work? Like one thing I think that anyone can do tomorrow in like 5 minutes is I just took a YouTube video and I basically pulled a transcript from a podcast episode I did last year. And I took that transcript, and you can use 11 Labs to pull the transcript, or like there's tons of free tools online. If you just look up like YouTube video to transcript generator, there's tons of free tools available. Or you can use something like 11 Labs, great tool too. And then I just pull that transcript and I'll just go into Claude and I'll just say, hey, like create a LinkedIn post based on this podcast episode I did last year. I am Cassy Aite. And yeah, it's just gonna create a draft for me. And so boom, here you go. Like this is a like 20-page document, basically transcript from an hour-long podcast. And it's created this LinkedIn post. And it's a pretty good hook, really, pretty good concept. And I can ask it like what other ideas for LinkedIn posts can you pull from this podcast?
This is pretty good because normally when I've tried things like this, the default answer that you get for a hook isn't that strong, but this is actually a pretty strong hook. Like I'd want to click on, see more to read the rest of the post. And normally I don't
Mhm,
normally I have to put a lot of custom prompting in, or if it's a project,
mhm.
pod project, I'll have to put in basically a default prompt that helps the AI write better hooks, but it's pretty cool what it was able to do. This was without any additional prompting, right?
Yeah, with nothing. And this is a fresh, like this is I created this fresh Claude account just to show that like, right off the bat when you even if you don't have anything in Claude already that it's not trained on, it's going to generate something pretty good for you. And that's just because this podcast, the information there is so dense, and that's like the unique thing here is like podcast or video recording. Like you could even take like a fellow recording from a call that you have with another team member, pull that in, and it's going to create a pretty high quality piece of content for you.
So it's almost like if you are going about your week, you have some interesting
Hmm.
meetings, maybe you read some interesting articles, maybe there's some podcasts or videos that you watch. You could, in theory, go grab the transcripts from all of these different things, heck, even some documents that you wrote, and upload all of them in Claude in this format, and then just create a bunch of LinkedIn posts. And it looks like it does a pretty good job from the get go.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, you could do it for not just your own content, but like your favorite YouTubers, right? I could that's actually one thing that we do in Postbeam is like you can select your favorite, accounts and just like it will automatically generate ideas and from posts that have been created. But yeah, like that it's really powerful what like Claude or other LLMs can do just with like a transcript that has such dense information.
Immediate thought that goes through my head is this makes it so easy that we are going to see a lot of I was going to say AI slop, but the reality is that you can create pretty good content. So I just think
Mhm.
there's just going to be a lot more content. And maybe this is why it's starting to become even harder to, I guess, rise up above the noise, because it's so much easier for people to create content. Your content has to be so good in order to truly get the engagement that you want. So it's not about, I mean, I think this is step one. It's a great way for people to get started, but the content has to be really good, because this is what, I mean, if you're not doing this, there are other people who are doing this. And so this is kind of like the minimum bar. If this is the minimum bar, that makes it really hard, I think, to create really good content.
Yeah, I feel like it's like the like I don't know, you can think about the same thing with like with just access to content now. Like even with celebrities, right? You see like what went viral 20 years ago, like the level of how like the shock factor that you had to have 20 years ago versus today or even 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, you know, is you really have to do a lot to stand out now. So I think, part of the thing that these tools help a lot with content, it's not just about like posting a banger. It's just you've got to create a ton of content to know what works before it actually hits. And like having processes and tools like this just allows you to create so much, right? Like right off the bat here in like 2 minutes, I've got 8 different posts I can play around with. And I would post every single one of these just to see what sticks with my audience. And that's going to help me refine my voice and figure out how I can do it more consistently. We saw with like I think Pablo is a good example. Pablo Strugo, who is a partner at Mistral Ventures, right? Like he's a perfect example of this. He posted so much content so consistently. And now you can see like he's figured out the formula that works for him. And now he just repeats that formula. And now he's getting, that's the formula that works with his audience. And I think that's these kind of tools just help you get there faster. I don't think Pablo, when he built his audience, he didn't have access to these tools, but this just makes it so much easier to do that now.
And the other thing I would say is, I guess there's probably two formulas here. So one is you're taking, using the AI tools to remix content that's already out there, right? So someone else's YouTube video, someone else's podcast, and maybe that is less powerful than original insights coming from you, right? So if the
Hmm.
insights are coming from you, then those are novel. And if you don't have tools like this, maybe you would have never gone about and created this content. It would have just stayed in your head because it was so much work to actually get the content to come out and get posted on a social platform. But these tools make it easier to do exactly that. But then once you have an audience and people trust you for a particular type of content, then maybe you can also use these remixing tools, and people will still follow you and trust your content because you're doing this curation and they trust you to be someone who knows about that topic. And so they will pay attention to your curation. So many people have these newsletters, right? I think about Tim Ferriss's 5 Bullet Friday, and a lot of people who just basically remix and curate content. This just makes it easier to do all
Hmm.
those things, but you still have to build authority so people, trust the remixes that you are making.
It's almost like there's this guy, Adam Schefter. I don't know if you've heard of this guy on Twitter. He's a correspondent for ESPN, and he talks about all he does is he just breaks news and he just shares. Like he's not creating any original content really. He's just sharing it with his audience, and so now he's like the trusted person for breaking news, and it's not like it's original content. It's a different style of playbook, and I think you can be really effective in like sharing your reading list. Like I think about like for you, Aiden, like how many people ask you like what are you reading? Like what are the things that you find interesting right now? Like I'm sure people would be really curious to know like what are the things that you're reading or your favorite tweets of the week, right? Like remixing, I think is really powerful and not an easy thing to do.
Hey everyone, hope you're enjoying the episode. One of the common things that we hear is, hey, you all talk about all these different tools, you walk through these demos. Sometimes it's hard for me to follow along. We decided to do recently was take all the things that we talk about, put them in a weekly newsletter. We literally list all the tools, we link to them, and any demo that we walk through, we break it down step by step, put it in this newsletter so it's super easy for you to follow along. And the other nice thing is that if there's someone on your team that you think could benefit, they're working on that subject area, they could use a little bit of AI injection into their workflow, send them the newsletter, send them that particular episode. We make it super easy to do that. It's free to sign up. All you have to do is go to thisnewway.com, enter your email address, and you'll get this weekly email from us. Hope you enjoy it. With that said, let's go back to the episode. All these things are powerful, and I think what I'm noticing is that what AI does, I mean, one of the things that it does is it just helps you do the things that you wouldn't have otherwise done just because it would have taken too long to do. And so a lot of those things that you would have never gotten to, now you have the time to get to. And so this is a good example of that. So you guys, okay, so you started noticing this. So you started working on this and noticing that this is something that you can do. You can create content a lot easier. And so then that sent you on a journey, and you actually decided to build an entire product around this idea, right?
Yeah, we actually built an entire product and business around the idea. Now we have about 20 paying customers. We're like 80 days in, and they use it to create content at scale and high quality content in their own voice using AI. And I just think there's so much more we can do using AI to make the most out of LinkedIn. It doesn't just stop at content. I think there's a ton of other value that we can add. So yeah, we basically took this process, and I can share it here. So this is Postbeam, and we just built it. You know, the whole idea was like, hey, Hoppier, we got to 1,200 plus customers, and a big reason for that was LinkedIn. How can we build the tools so that other people can do the same thing? And so this is my account. You can see in the training data, we've got company name, mission, ICP, formatting rules, voice, writing style. So all of this informs the model. And then also we've got content sources. So, you know, we're pulling from sources like these specific Reddits that are relevant for our audience, YouTube, LinkedIn, subreddits, other YouTube channels, Twitter. And so it's going to look at like, okay, what are the banger posts and content from these other content sources? And then how do we remix it in my voice if there's nothing really unique? And then you can see posts that have been generated here that are high quality. And then also, you know, some other cool things like we're dropping images in, and then it's taking these images, you know, behind the scenes images of building the business, raising our first round, our team, speaking at conferences, and then it's going to take those images and create posts around them. And I can also connect different team members that work at Hoppier into Postbeam so that they can also create content in their own voice.
I was gonna say the other cool way to frame it too, just on that team, is encouraging your team and getting them to be posting on LinkedIn, like your whole sales team and your marketing team. When you actually look at the combined followers of, you know, your sales and marketing team, it's almost like you have an influencer, you know, on LinkedIn. Probably have over 100,000 followers just with your sales team on LinkedIn.
I mean, this is pretty interesting. So it's effectively the same sorts of workflows that you showed, but it just makes it very structured, and it makes it easy for every single person on your team to do the exact same thing. And I think this is what traditional software is really good at, is just workflows and getting and changing human behavior, right? For example, you used to be able to, and you still can do a lot with a spreadsheet. And a lot of software, it feels like the unbundling of a spreadsheet. It's just a lot of SaaS is things you could do in a spreadsheet, but software built around it. And now in the age of AI, it's things you could do in ChatGPT or Claude, but you extract those and then you build the workflow around it. And that's kind of what you're doing with Postbeam.
Yeah, exactly. It's just how do we get you there faster? And also, I think it's like, how do we inject our expertise into, or the expertise of, you know, not just us, but like the collective brain behind Postbeam into the product so that anyone can become, you know, an expert at posting content in their own voice for their own audience, right?
So I love it. You guys also have, and this is the thing that I was excited to show everybody about, is just like the voice feature that you put together. Maybe you can talk through that.
Yeah, we put together this really cool voice feature. So immediately when you sign up to Postbeam, we've got this feature here, and you can see I've already done the call. So it's an initial 15-minute call with Marv. Marv is our conversational AI, and Marv is just going to basically ask you questions about yourself. It's trained on all of this data, and Marv knows about you, your business, the you know the voice that you have, your ICP, and is going to ask you questions just like a podcast episode. And after that initial call, you have the option to talk to Marv at any time, and you can ask. You can have a conversation with Marv about something specific you want to post or create content around, or even if you're not sure what to talk about. And I'll show you here. So it's kind of cool. I think you'll pick up the audio here through the call. So let's go.
Hello, Cassy. Great to speak with you again. It sounds like you're not sure what to post about.
Hey, Marv. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure today what I want to post about. Do you have any ideas for me?
No worries at all. It happens. Sometimes the best posts come from unexpected places. Have you had any recent challenges or perhaps some unexpected wins that come to mind?
Um, Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
No problem. Sometimes it's not about the big moments. Is there anything you've learned recently, perhaps a small insight or a common misconception in your field that you've been thinking about?
Yeah, I think recently I actually learned that maybe when it comes to creating content on LinkedIn, sharing stuff like behind the scenes content is really powerful.
That's a fantastic insight. Why do you think sharing behind the scenes content is so powerful on LinkedIn? What have you noticed about it?
I think it's really powerful because people don't want you to flex. Like they're tired of seeing people flex and they want transparency and it's helpful to know that, like more goes on behind the scenes than meets the eye.
That's a really sharp observation. It sounds like you're tapping into a desire for authenticity.
So just pause the call here, but basically I'm gonna go back and forth with Marv and Marv's gonna help me create this post. And so yeah, I'll resume the call and I'll just ask Marv, can you like update the hook? It's not capturing enough attention. Let's make the hook better.
Marv, here, ready to refine. You want to punch up the hook, make it more attention grabbing. What kind of attention are we trying to capture?
So I want to attention or capture the attention of a potential customer that could use Postbeam. Maybe we can talk about how many impressions I got on my last post. I got, 20,000 impressions on my last post. Could we include that in the hook? And that was a post that was transparent and showing the behind the scenes.
20,000 impressions, that's a number that certainly gets attention.
So anyway, I'll just go back and forth and you can tell Marv to make updates and then I can finish this post and now here you go. I've got my post ready to go and you can continue to edit it. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Cool little feature. Like if you're not sure and you just want to have a conversation.
What I like about this is it's just the modern conversational interface. And we're starting to see this being worked into more and more products. Obviously, ChatGPT. I don't know if Claude actually has a voice mode. I don't think it does, but does it have a
It's
voice
got
mode?
the voice record back and forth with you. I think
Not
they
the
might
back
have
and
just
forth.
added it.
Okay, yeah. So, ChatGPT obviously has this, but this is starting to work its way into different interfaces as well. And I mean that's what I like about it. You can just go back and forth and debate. And it's really interesting for me to see this because this is the kind of stuff that I do with my executive assistant in that we work on content in this way. We will bring ideas, we will summarize them, we'll have back and forth discussions, I'll have an insight, and then she'll ask me more questions about it. And it's all the sorts of things that I currently do with another human. And so it's really cool to see the beginnings of that kind of stuff being automated. So very, very cool. And anything else that you wanted to say about Postbeam before we talk about some behind the scenes stuff?
I think like there's just so much with AI. Like our end goal with Postbeam is to help people get leads with, through LinkedIn. And I think content is really just like scratching the surface of where AI can help you. Like really, it's just we're taking all of this data, which is like other content that exists on the internet, and then helping you understand how to arrange like content, right? And it's the same thing when it comes to customers and understanding who to connect with, when to connect with them, things like that. So if you want to try out Postbeam, just you can either shoot me a message on LinkedIn and I'll respond, or just shoot me an email at Cassy@postbeam.ai.
Obviously, we'll include links in the newsletter too. So if you haven't signed up, thisnewway.com and sign up for the newsletter, we're going to include all the tutorials that we're talking about today. Of course, we'll link to Postbeam as well. So let's talk about behind the scenes now. So you're building Postbeam, which is an AI product. You got the idea for Postbeam from going back and forth with Claude using an AI product, and but you're using AI to create Postbeam. So what are some of the ways that you're using AI to actually do the building?
Yeah, so this is one tool, and this is for anyone. I mean, anyone who's like a CTO or product manager, and I'm sure you'll resonate with this one. So if you've heard of V0, it's a really good tool for building basically V0s or V1s. I mean, before the V1, basically. So getting your mockups ready. And I find it super useful I use it myself personally, even when I'm trying to brainstorm out a feature and trying to get like the first UI to work. But this is like a really neat use case I found for it that's helped me a lot. And I remember even building Hoppier, this would always come up. Like someone on the sales team is like, "Oh, we need to build this feature. Like this customer just told us if they have this, new way to send a gift card, they'll sign up." And I think those conversations come up a lot, and they're a little bit frustrating, I think, on the whoever's the product designer or product on the product side of things, just because it's kind of hard to understand and to communicate that feature fully. So one thing I really like using V0 for is, I have basically our front end UI, kind of like a basic version of that uploaded into V0. And, if you're not on the technical side, you could ask, one of your software developers or, CTO to do this. It's not super hard if you just sign up into V0 and you basically, upload your front end UI into V0, or you can connect it through GitHub. But you can see here, this is kind of like a basic version of Postbeam. Like it's just the kind of basic UI elements. And I just go to my link that I have available for the whole team. So, it makes it easy for, let's say Cassy's got a new feature idea for me. I can just, I got this link pinned in our Slack, and he could go in and say, "Oh, we need this new scheduling feature." And so they can go ahead and just be like, I want add a new scheduling feature above each post. And, like he can go in with as basic as that, and it's going to at least spit something out. And I think it's just a way better form of communicating for, let's say it's someone on the support team that has a new feature idea. I mean, in my experience, the people that talk to customers most usually understand what should be built best, or at least they know what's going wrong with the product and what's needed. And this is just like a really helpful way. Instead of passing off an idea that's not very well thought out, they can at least pass off at least kind of a drawing, kind of a UI mockup of what they were thinking of. So you can see it it'll take some time to think, but V0 is kind of just like ChatGPT plugged into front end development.
This is pretty cool. I know that people would use, people do use V0 for things from, I have this concept or this idea and I want to see the first version of it. But I think this is super clever that you actually uploaded the front end of your current product into V0 and then give it to the hands of all the people on your team. And when they have an idea, and if they want to see a prototype or, surface an idea for you, then they can go to V0, do that very quickly, and then that's their idea and that's their pitch. So it just makes it much more accessible for everybody to contribute and then actually see what that looks like.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's even just a cool exercise for your team to kind of understand how working, like changing a product could look, right? So you can see this is kind of like the first crack V0 would take at it, right?
That's actually pretty good. I mean, that was pretty quick.
Yeah, and that way, like if they see this and they're like, this is not at all what I was thinking of before passing this off to, that product person or the whoever on the team makes sense, they can, go back and forth, and maybe they had in mind, being able to change times in like a 24-hour format, right?
Okay, so that almost seemed a little too easy. Are we shipping this live?
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, I have a component library in V0, and I'll take that and export that to my if you use Next.js or React, you can reuse these component libraries. So it's really good for front end and saves me a ton of time.
Hey everyone, just a quick pause on today's episode to tell you about my day job. In addition to This New Way, I'm the CEO of a company called Fellow.ai, and Fellow is an AI meeting assistant. It joins all your meetings, it summarizes them, tracks the actions and the decision, and does that better than any other tool that you've seen. We've spent a ton of time making sure that the meeting notes and summaries and action items that come out of Fellow are the most accurate, the most precise. It beats any human you have to try it. But in addition to that, what makes Fellow different is that it is the first AI note taker built from the ground up with security and privacy in mind. This means that you can use it for all your meetings, not just the customer-facing ones, but also the sensitive ones, things like one-on-ones and executive team meetings and those QBRs and everything in between. It's got really good judgment. So, for example, if you start a meeting and you're talking about some social stuff that you don't really want on the record that's going to get emailed to everyone afterwards, Fellow just knows. It just doesn't include those things. Or say you have something that you talked about and later on you realize, oh man, that shouldn't have been there. Makes it really easy. You can go back to the meeting, select that part, delete it, and then it's gone from the record. It connects to all of the other tools you use in the organization, whether that's Slack or Asana or HubSpot or Salesforce or Linear or Jira or Confluence, whatever it is, Fellow integrates with all those things. I think the best part is that Fellow also acts as an AI chief of staff. Because it sits on all the meetings and the conversations that you have access to, you can ask it really cool questions such as, what are the biggest opportunities in my company? What are the bottlenecks in engineering? And Fellow just pieces together information, sees trends, and it can answer those sorts of questions. It can even do things like, hey, based on all of the one-on-ones that I've had with this particular person, can you create them a performance review? And it can do things like that too. And the sky's really the limit. What I really wanted you to do is have the opportunity to try out Fellow, check it out, and we're making a special offer available to all our listeners. So just go to Fellow.ai/thisnewway to try Fellow. There's a discount code in there for you if you decide to continue with it. Either way, I would love for you to try it and let me know what you think. And with that said, let's go back to the episode. Emil, how do you choose between, you're showing V0, but how do you choose between that or Replit or Lovable, Bolt? Like, why V0 versus the other ones?
I've tried Replit. I haven't tried Lovable. I've heard good things about Lovable. In my experience, like I think any of these tools, like if you're shipping something, you can definitely ship internal tools, I would say, with Replit. I think you could get some pretty basic stuff out with Replit. I forget who I saw. I think I saw this like really funny tweet thread from the guy from SaaStr. I think Jason Lemkin. He was documenting his journey trying to build like a true enterprise grade or enterprise grade software on Replit. And this is the kind of same experience I had. And I don't know, maybe you can link to it in the notes, but I found it kind of funny. And he was like, you just see him like day one, amazing experience, things going super well. And then it was like day 6, Replit lied to me. I found out this backend feature doesn't actually work, and it deleted my whole database structure. So I think that's like the bit of the danger with, like, I will say Replit. It's like ChatGPT it's really good at it wants to please you, right? So I'd say like Replit, you get some of that too.
I was following the same thread. It was really interesting. If you all don't follow Jason Lemkin on X, pretty interesting to go check out his story around building something on Replit. But I thought it was super interesting. So he thought that it was a good idea to create some tests because that's what you do in good software development. And then Replit kind of made up data, I think, and just made up test results just so that his tests could pass. But in reality, they didn't actually pass. But again, like you said, the AI didn't want to displease him. And so it just made up results so that it could say that the test passed. So I agree with you. This stuff is really good for internal tools. No problem. Go ahead. I mean, always be careful. But yeah, for production grade stuff, if you're accepting payments and there's passwords involved, definitely have an engineer who knows what they're doing, double check the work. But again, for this use case, this is incredible. I think everybody should do this. If you're building software, at the very least, your PMs, your QA team, like they should have access to some form of no-code tool like this or a vibe coding tool like this so that they can, surface ideas to you. It's funny. One of the things that we do is we give cursor access to everybody in the product team. Again, product team, QA team, they have access to it. And it's amazing the use cases that come up. It's, yes, let me prototype this feature before I decide that we should work on it. But it's also things like, I don't know how this part of the software works. Let's ask Cursor how it works, and it will just explain it to them. So if you're a QA person and you're testing, Cursor will tell you what things you need to test because it affects a part of your software that you didn't actually think it was going to affect. And so you can be a lot more comprehensive. So yeah, I mean, a lot of people are now creating. I think we have one. We have, for example, a central company Lovable account where people are starting to build these sorts of vibe coded tools, especially like you can imagine these SEO tools or different things that you can put on your website. It just makes it easier for the marketing team not to have to talk to the development team in order to get something up and running. So yeah, it's amazing to see these use cases.
Yeah, I believe they call that now. It's when the sales team mogs the dev team. I don't know if you've seen that
No, I haven't.
mogging.
No, mogging. What's that?
You get mogged by the. It's basically like, I mean, I think it's like a Gen Z slang. You basically outshow, you outperform or you outshow someone who should be good at that task, right? So it's like the sales team, comes back with the feature already built before the dev team can build it.
That's pretty funny. We should include, let's say, some cool memes like that in the newsletter for people to check out. I'm learning stuff. Yeah, definitely. A lot of the Gen Z slang, I need to be educated on it. So this is great. Okay, we're gonna pivot now, and we're gonna go from like business to personal because Emil, I know that you've been you've been playing with the Comet browser. So we've talked about Perplexity on the show before. Great company. Started out with a competitor to Google search, but now they do a lot. Like they have added so many different things. And one of the things that they have is their own browser. So what is this browser and what does it do?
Yeah, it's really good. Like you got to get an invite code. So maybe if I think I got a few. So maybe if you're really looking for one, I don't know if I have enough to go around, but maybe I can share some. But I think it only takes like a week or so to get on the wait list. But it's basically, it's like an internet. It's like Google Chrome, but if you made it in the age of AI, right? It's like Cursor, what you expect if you ever use Cursor as a software developer. It's got that same right bar, but for your browser. So it's like ChatGPT hooked into your browser. And I think this is like definitely the future of how people are going to use browsers, I would imagine, because instead of, surfing manually, you just type in what you want Comet to do and it'll just do that. It'll start moving your mouse. It'll start typing things in. It'll do whatever you need it to do.
Can we see an example?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up. I think, I mean, maybe I spoke too soon. I don't know why it was like, so I haven't really found that many business use cases yet, but one thing is I've been trying to find a used car, actually, like a good deal on a used car. And I was trying to pull up Facebook Marketplace, but I think now I gotta I think it's caught on to me maybe now that they think I'm a bot, or they caught on to my Comet usage. Let me just see if I can get in.
So, yeah, as you're doing this, is this your default browser? And Cassy, do you use it too?
I don't use it. I haven't gotten my invite code yet.
Emil's giving invite codes to everyone except for his brother.
Yeah.
Very classic.
He knows I might also want to buy a used car now in Vancouver.
Can't let them get my competitive edge. It's a big lot of people want Toyota RAV4s in Vancouver. So I don't know what's going on, but the Facebook Marketplace search kind of sucks. I don't know if you ever use Facebook Marketplace, but I think I've heard because it's they're trying to optimize for usage on Facebook. I don't know if that's the true reason, or maybe they just don't maintain some of the features. But if you've used it, you see like it doesn't obey your search filters sometimes. Like let's say if I go, let's say 25,000. Let me just set my like basic filters. And if I go, like for some reason in Facebook Marketplace, I don't know why I can't filter. Like you'll see, like look, this is what I mean. If I go to filter for Toyotas, I can't even reach it. I don't know why. It's at the bottom there. I gotta zoom out. So
Yeah, it doesn't look like they've been paying attention to this interface.
yeah. And then the other annoying thing was like I can't, like if I search RAV4, it'll like reset my filters. So that's my quick rant. If you're at Facebook, please help me figure this out. And I don't have to use Comet. But I mean, you could think of all the other cool things you could do here. But let's say like I just pulled up the assistant in the top right, and this is like, my ChatGPT assistant. And I could say, hey, make a list of all the Toyota RAV4s. Right. So like, let's say I just want like anything less than 150K kilometers. So I'm just basically like working around their filters. And this is like a really simple use case for my personal needs. But you can see it'll just start. Let's see if I scroll through.
That's pretty cool, though. I mean, it it starts to feel like, why would I, click around and look around and do all this stuff myself when I can get Comet to do it for me?
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're gonna all become so lazy. We're just not gonna, we're gonna say like, "Oh, you want me to click 3 times or visit 3 pages?" I'm not gonna read those headlines and click through. I mean, it is annoying if you kinda think about it, searching for a car, searching for a house, for all these things, you have to search and you have to click through and then read the description and go back and, like, it is a lot of effort. I mean, I think if all of us had the option, maybe we wouldn't do any of these things. We'd just let Comet do it all.
Yeah.
If I
Why
was
even have
on,
an interface, right?
yeah. I mean, if I wasn't on this podcast, I would have been using Whisperflow, and I would have just been like, wouldn't be typing. I would have just been talking to tell Comment what to do, right? It's funny. I actually saw this. I mean, kind of unrelated. While this is going through, I saw this tweet from someone saying that, oh, maybe the same way that we kind of lost our physical skills, and we're all just like, we work in offices and we don't have to like hunt and do whatever natural physical abilities. Now people go to the gym to stay in shape and stay active. Maybe the same thing will happen in the future with like mental gyms, where it's like you've kind of outsourced all your critical thinking to AI, so you go to some kind of mental gym to train your brain to not just be AI
Oh
slop.
my. Oh my, it's probably gonna happen too. I know people that do the kind of like mental gym thing, but they'll do it with whether it's, chess on their phones to try to get a few chess games in or doing different types of puzzles. So I think there's a version of this that already exists today, but at a much smaller scale. And yeah, I do think in the future we'll get there. But this is pretty cool. I mean, it's either I mean, the thing to realize is that we don't know what the interface of the future looks like. I think one thing that makes Comet more interesting than, say, doing this inside of Perplexity itself or doing it inside of ChatGPT itself is that in those interfaces, it makes you think you have to reinvent you have to reinvent the interface of what the browsing part looks like. Okay, well, create the list, like show me, the things I created, but at least here you're piggybacking on the structure that the web already has, and you're using the AI to help browse it versus reinventing the interface inside of chat.
Yeah, you see it working. I feel like you also trust it more. You trust the results maybe more,
Yeah, that's actually
right?
a good point. Yeah, we see it. It's right there. It's not hallucinating. It's in front of our
Yeah.
eyes. Unless it's like changing the DOM and replacing images. There's no Toyota RAV4s, so we created some and manipulated the page. That'd be pretty funny. No, but this is super cool. Well, Emil, thanks so much for showing this. And what I love about Cassy and Emil's story is that it all, like, there's an AI through line through the whole thing. It started with a need. Like, you guys were building Hoppier, you learned content works, you started using AI to create content, and then you had these cool workflows, and then everybody was asking you, how do you do those things? And then you said, okay, well, what if we created software that does those things for other people? So you created it, and then that uses AI. There's a voice interface in it. And then even to build Postbeam, you're using AI tools like V0 to allow everybody to kind of contribute. And yeah, it's just super incredible. And of course, you're browsing the web using Comet and all the modern AI tools. So you know what I like about it? There's this new kind of framing of companies get to do more by being less people. And you guys aren't like a gigantic team, right? You're a mighty group of how many now?
I mean, for Postbeam, it's just me and Mill, and then we hired our Gen Z cousin who's 18 years old. And it's so interesting. Like we didn't just hire her because she's our cousin. It's like so interesting to see how this, like the iPad kids, the things they come up with and the way they think is just so different. So just us and her. And then for Hoppier, I mean, Hoppier is a seven-figure revenue business, and we're just 4 people.
This is incredible, right? This is like the modern company. The modern company is using AI in everything that they do, and you're just doing more with less. So, tiny teams, but mighty and tiny teams. So, thank you guys for coming on. This was excellent.
Cool. Thanks, Aiden.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Thanks, guys.
And that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of This New Way. If you like the content, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe so you can get notified when we post the next episode. See you next time.